I have been slowly losing my mind because all my hobbies keep getting ruined, and I just found out my boyfriend is the reason why. This is honestly the weirdest thing I've ever experienced and have no idea what to do. So I, 21F, have a lot of hobbies. I'm sort of what you might call a hobby enthusiast. But my top ones right now are running, baking, reading, and doing something called junk journaling. I've been reading since I was really young, so that is probably my favorite. This started about 6 months ago, when I saw that several of my old books were dog-eared, which I don't do to my books. I asked my boyfriend if he had read them, which I would be totally fine with, but he insisted he hadn't touched them. Then after that, I literally could never find my running shoes. I bought a rather expensive pair and kept them separate from my other shoes because I'm a nurse and my hospital shoes are nasty. They would always turn up days later, somewhere I definitely hadn't put them. Another thing that happened recently as well was my journal getting completely destroyed. Somehow it was left outside in our garage where it is known to leak when it rains. It didn't necessarily get water damaged, but the moisture made everything peel up and practically ruined 28 pages. The pages took me over an hour each and I was quite proud of them. 28 plus hours of my artwork ruined. This is so stupid, but I genuinely started to believe the house was haunted. I did shed a few tears over my journal, and my boyfriend just rolled his eyes at that, but helped me glue them all back down and salvage as much as possible. I had a fleeting thought that he put my journal out there, but it was honestly so weird and I second-guessed myself if he actually would do something like that. Then, it was back to my books. I have a huge bookshelf with about 200 or more books because I read daily. I started to notice one by one, they were freaking disappearing. I searched every corner of the house and could not find them. I even texted all 3 of my sisters, my brother, and my boyfriend's sister, asking if they had borrowed any and didn't tell me. They all said they hadn't. My boyfriend's sister borrows my books often, but she always asks and insisted she didn't have any. And then it was my baking. I could never find my mixers or my baking sheets or anything whenever I wanted to bake. The final straw though was when I found my KitchenAid mixer broken, literally just would not turn on. And if you don't know, those things are expensive. I straight up asked him, "Did you do this? Like, why is all my stuff broken or lost recently?" He finally admitted to purposely hiding or breaking my things, because my hobbies annoy him. I'm not going to lie, I exploded. I told him he was a weirdo for touching my stuff, and that it was honestly so strange to do this as an adult. He proceeded to defend himself, saying that I was spending more time on my made-up hobbies than with him, and this was the only way to make me focus on our relationship again. Which, for context, isn't true at all. We still have a great relationship, I thought. We go on dates twice a week, we are intimate quite regularly, we get along with each other's families and friends. I'm so confused. We've been together for 2 whole years. I love him so much, and other than this odd behavior, he's so good to me. After that argument, I was genuinely so distraught that I left the house and went to my sister's house. They also agreed it was the oddest thing in the world. The icing on the cake was when I got home this morning, he threw out everything I had. He cut the soles out of running shoes, cut the laces, threw out my Apple Watch, destroyed the baking things, cut the silicone molds, and even threw away my journal and missing books in the dumpster. The journal he helped me fix was torn to shreds. I genuinely started to sob. I know it sounds dumb and overdramatic, but I genuinely worked so hard on my journal that it made me cry. Literally hundreds of dollars and some of my favorite books in the trash. Money spent on baking supplies just ruined. I just don't understand what is wrong with him. He's never been like this before. I'm genuinely so freaking confused about what has gotten into him. What do I do? Is it something else he could be projecting? I'm genuinely so confused. Update. A lot of people were very concerned for me, and that is honestly mind-blowing. I decided last night that I really needed to go get my dog, as a lot of people said that he was going to hurt her when I wouldn't come back. I didn't tell him I was coming, just went with my sister and let myself in with my key. He was upstairs but came down immediately apologizing, begging me to just talk, telling me I was overreacting, all that. I just ignored him and grabbed my puppy. I told him I was taking her and my few things and that I would be back later tomorrow with my other sisters and brother to collect my things. I told him that if he touched any more of my stuff, I was going to take him to small claims court like all of you suggested, and honestly I was considering it now for everything he did prior. He was so stricken and I could tell he started to get mad at that point. I ran around the house to collect my few really important things like my passport and laptop. He followed me around the whole time, just begging me to give him another chance. I just ignored him. My sister took pics of the things still destroyed. He put them all in our hallway closet for some odd reason. I didn't tell him I was going to file a police report, which is why I think when my sister started to get snappy calling him a few mean names, he shoved her out of the doorway she was standing in. She fell and she wasn't hurt or anything, but it really proved things for me. He was willing to shove my innocent sister over a few words, and he would definitely do worse to me. He probably would have done worse to me if I went alone. We just immediately left after that and took my dog and my stuff back to my sister's. She helped me contact the police and we have a report started on all the things he destroyed of mine, the texts admitting to it, the texts threatening me, the text saying he would have never hurt our dog, but if it would have gotten me there, he would have done it, that he will do anything to get me back, and the small scrape my sister had on her hand when she fell. They asked if she wanted to press charges for the shove, but she said no for now. The officer was really nice and he told me to write down everything that he broke and write down the prices. He said it might add up to a felony charge if that's the route I wanted to take with him. I'm not sure it is, but at least it's there. That was last night. This afternoon, my brother and our friend are going to take me back to the house to pack up most of what I can. I told my sister to tell my now ex over text that we suggest he be gone from the house for a few hours. He responded to my sister with just horrid things about me. Calling me names that I never would have expected from him, telling her about all the intimate details of our relationship. He told her about my termination of the pregnancy, which she hadn't known. He said he wished he never met me. My brother is urging me to try and file a restraining order. And for those of you concerned that he was stalking me or tracking me, I had my brother check everything, and he said it all looks fine. I'm not concerned he will try and hurt me or anything when I go back to the house. Like I said, I'm going to go with my brother and a friend, both ex-military. I'm going to stay with two of my sisters until I figure my stuff out. My brother is insisting on staying with us, at least for a few days while everything settles. I thought I was overreacting, but I think my brother honestly might be overreacting harder. I'm mourning the loss of my 2-year relationship with a man who I thought was the love of my life, a man I lived with and trusted wholeheartedly. I don't know what happened, but he just isn't that man anymore. I think in some ways he never was. My sister made me think back on the past 2 years and I can name at least a dozen things he did to subtly control me. The most terrifying part is that if I didn't have the weird urge to post here, I probably would have let him convince me to forgive him. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. I hope no one ever has to experience something similar. Although, I know now, this is far from rare.